Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles. I am delighted to be joined here by the director of Blue Suit. Kevin, good to see you.
It's good seeing you too.
But for those that haven't seen Blue Suit, let's take a look at the clip.
Sorry again about tonight. I know you had all these plans for us and I kind of ruined them.
No, don't apologize. It's totally fine.
Well, thanks for still wanting to hang.
Of course. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Same.
Henry, I've been thinking.
Kevin, as you know, as I said to you at the film festival, I absolutely love your film. Thank you so much for bringing it to our film festival. But for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, absolutely. So Blue Suit is a film that follows John, our main character, who is a hopeless romantic. And John has feelings for his friend Henry. The only thing is Henry is moving away the next day. So John is mustering up the courage to confess his feelings to Henry. And just when he's about to do so, a surprise going away party happens. And now John is left wondering if and when he'll be able to get that opportunity to make his feelings known to Henry before the night is over.
This movie's touched me because I've been in this situation before and it's not fun. And it was so wonderfully articulated and it was a joy to watch. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this particular story?
Yeah, the inspiration for this film really comes from my own personal experience as well. I feel like this is a rather universal story. And for me, Blue Suit was loosely based off something that happened in my life a few years ago. And really, I just felt like having gone through that experience, I needed an outlet to process my feelings of what had happened. And what I turned to was writing. And as I was writing this film, I realized you don't often see a lot of queer Asian American coming of age films during like your 20s, right? And I think it's really special when I say coming of age, specifically with the queer identity, because so often being queer, you don't get an opportunity to express these feelings as openly throughout your adolescence as much as heterosexual folks. And so for queer individuals, you really are learning so much about yourself, your identity, and your feelings. And so I really wanted to explore that feeling of when you're faced with jumping into this next chapter of your life with a friend and hopefully maybe something more, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it was a great universal story, but it was extra special just to see, two queer people, particularly two queer people that are Asian American, just leading the way in this beautiful story. It was so refreshing to see it on our screens. And I just wanted to say as well that I thought your cast were brilliant. Like I really felt for their characters and they really did. I really felt for the one left behind. I think you and I, Kevin, both know how that feels, but it was so special. And, you felt all of the emotion that was kind of running through and the love and everything else, the things you want to say, but you can't say it. It was just so greatly, wonderfully articulated. When you're making something so personal to you, how is that process trying to find that cast to really make sure they can kind of, relay that message as actors? And how was that casting process for you? Because I felt you found the perfect cast.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And really big kudos to our two main leads, Ivan Mock and Andrew Ge. Like they were just incredible. And this casting process, this was obviously a very personal story to me. And it also like Blue Suit is a pretty quiet film. It doesn't really it's not in your face. It's really about those tender moments of stillness and intimacy that is expressed between the two characters. And in order to really capture that, we really needed actors to live in their characters so comfortably. And the journey to finding who would be John was thankfully not as hard as I thought it would be. I was actually so scared about that because there are these moments where John doesn't really talk as much. It's really about how he looks at Henry, how he responds to the things that are happening to him and how he wants to be proactive in all of that. And Ivan just sent us this incredible self-tape. And the moment that I watched it, I was like, this is it. This is John. And Ivan brought John to life in a way that it exceeded my expectations.
Wow.
When it came to Henry, it was a little bit tougher to find someone who could embody the tenderness of Henry, but also this very goofy individual, but also very much so this vulnerable and emotional person. So having that duality was tough to find. And a funny story I'll share with you is that we hadn't found who Henry would be yet. And so I rallied my friends and we decided to go to West Hollywood, which is our gay neighborhood out here in LA. And so I was just like, okay, y'all, I have these mini flyers. We're going to go to this club and we're going to dance around and then see who could fit Henry. And then we were just going to pass around flyers. And that's what we did.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So we had to be really scrappy with it. But I will say, thankfully, we did get some traction with that, but we found Andrew through other means, and he was just, he is almost like a living Henry. He is so goofy, so funny, but also so sensitive and vulnerable. It was a dream come true.
Oh, I love that. I love that's what a great way to sort of discover your cast, and really taking the time to find the right people that can articulate your story as well. There was what I also love that you mentioned too. It was not just about what was said, it was also about what wasn't said, and just I felt like both of their reactions. Obviously, there was like the feeling of just someone that's close to you that is going away from you, and that was articulated so well in the acting, and also kind of the scariness of going to a new part of the country, and how that feels as well. As much as it can be exciting, it's also quite daunting as well. And I thought that dynamic really kind of balanced out well. And I was just curious for you as a director, when you're directing something like this, like how do you work with your actors? Is it about rehearsal? Do you let people play, like improvise? Like what's kind of your forte?
Yeah, for me as a director, I really want to have a connection with my actors. And so I spent a lot of time getting to know Ivan and Andrew and even Jason, who plays Mike, and setting up time, just like getting to know their life story and just being able to share my own story. And I think just being able to understand each other on a personal level kind of allowed us to really break down those walls to be vulnerable. And then from there, just really telling my actors like, okay, this is my perspective. This is the story I want to tell within this character. And obviously with John and Henry, although their paths intertwine, they have two totally different directions in the way that they're thinking, right? Henry is all about not wanting to say goodbye to the place that he's grown up in, he feels so comfortable in. Whereas John is all about, I only have this one last night with you and I need to make it worth it. And being able to convey those emotions is something that I worked really closely with my actors on through rehearsals. And then when we're on set, just constantly reminding them like, okay, remember, this is where you are in the story right now. This is who you are as an individual. Unearth those feelings, that are very relatable. Saying goodbye is a very universal feeling. And I think being able to really tap into that was something that was important to me with the actors.
Well, I thought your attention to detail was spot on, and it's lovely to hear, the process that you made to sort of make sure everything was like, working consistently in their emotions, because it really did, show well on camera as well. I'm always fascinated when you're trying to create a party scene. I love the colors that you used as well. This sort of, darkish sort of bluishy purples. It was really, really cool. I love that whole dynamic. How is it when you sort of are making one of those scenes? Because you really have to sort of create that atmosphere. I also love the kind of slow-mo effects that you kind of had in there as well. There was just a lot being said. How was that experience making that for you? Was there any kind of challenges with that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, we had, with any scene that requires more than 5 people, I just feel like it's incredibly daunting to begin with. and that now you're going to force them all into this tiny 1-bedroom apartment in LA. And so not only that, but we have our entire crew there, and our crew was pretty small, but then we had all these extras, we had these moving parts, we had our main actors, and so it was just like really hot. And we shot that back in October, and you would think October being like fall, it would be a little bit cooler weather. Absolutely not. You know how LA can be.
Yeah,
LA
absolutely.
is very up and down.
Yeah.
And so we had all this equipment, all this lighting, and all these moving parts and these bodies. And behind the camera, we were all like scrunched up and just like making sure like, and I'm there with my screen and just like watching the scene go on by. And then in between takes, we're like, okay, can we turn on the AC? Because it's so stuffy. And it was just, there was that component. And then we filmed that scene into the night. And so we filmed a little out of order. And the moment where Henry opens the door to the surprise going away, we shot that at midnight.
What?
Yeah, we shot that at midnight, and it's a quiet neighborhood, and I was just like, okay, we need to get this real quick because we don't want to get any cops called on us or anything, and I'm just like, just scream surprise, and that's all you gotta do. And so we faced some of those challenges, but I think it was all worth it to get this. It
was great.
This feeling.
It was great. I mean, I think it's definitely not an easy feat when you, like you say, you've got more than 5 people, but obviously it works so well. One of the things that, again, obviously there's a universal kind of element too, but I also thought that it was interesting in a way because it was also the choices that the characters both chose to make. It could have gone different ways. We've all kind of seen that sort of scene at the end where the person comes out and surprises and is like, I'm not letting you go, or I'm coming with you, and like we've seen that. And I love that you didn't make those choices. It was just but I feel like the characters made good choices. Was that kind of something that also you're trying to bring into Element? Because I love the way it wasn't conventional, the way we've seen time and time again in films.
Right. Yeah, it was absolutely something that I wanted to convey in the ending, that this isn't going to be like the nicely wrapped happy ending that everybody is anticipating. This isn't going to be there isn't a scene where John chases after Henry. He's like, you know what? I love you. There isn't that. And as much as I love those scenes in like rom-coms and everything, I live for those scenes. I didn't want that to be the case because I wanted it to feel so intimate and to feel like, sure, we didn't get this perfect bow happy ending, but in a lot of ways, this is reality. In a lot of ways, this is John's happy ending. This is John being able to come into himself, realize that he deserves someone who is there for him, who sees him, and he's ready to move on from Henry. And not in a way where he wants to break ties with Henry, but more so in a way that he is ready to move on himself. Wherever Henry is, that does not dictate his own growth as a human.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, again, I love the choices that you made with that, and I think it felt like the right choice as well. Kevin, aside from being a really, really great filmmaker, I just love what you shared with us at the film festival. You're such an important voice, and you're such a great advocate, and I think everything that this industry needs. I'm just curious for you and your storytelling, how you want to move forward in your career. What kind of stories do you want to tell? Like, what more do you want to do? What kind of areas of interest are you, and what are you looking to move into next?
Yeah, for me, I just really want to continue bringing diverse stories onto TV and film, where my whole mission in life is to cultivate spaces that people feel empowered to be authentically themselves. And I think one of the many avenues in this is for us to be able to create stories on screen that make people feel like they resonate. And for myself, growing up, I didn't have that many individuals or role models where I could look to and say, like, that is a gay Asian American, and I feel seen. And I just want to play my part in whether it is creating work that resonates with people, or elevating work, or creating more spaces for people to thrive and grow. And what I really want is just more intersectionality and pushing forward storytelling that includes Asian Americans, but just this whole diversity within who we are as people. Like I said before, Asians aren't a monolith. We share so many different cultures and experiences and stories, and interweave that with our intersecting identities. We get such rich, nuanced narratives that have yet to be explored. And I just know that's going to mean so much for the future generation of folks. And just, again, more diversity, more nuanced storytelling. That's what I really want to see in the future.
I'm sorry, I just can't wait. I just need you to get writing and directing right now. That's how desperate I am for your work. But no, it's so great. I think I'm really so excited for your career moving forward. And I'm just curious, what next are you going to be working on? What are you looking onto next?
Yeah, I'm currently writing a TV pilot that I'm really excited about, and it explores, the genre that I feel most comfortable with, drama and coming of age and some comedy in there, and really surrounds itself in the themes of grief and self-discovery and community, and all interwoven in the story about a Vietnamese family. And that's what I really want to explore, just my own identity as a queer Vietnamese American. And I just know there's so much storytelling that can be done there. So really excited about that project.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited for you. This is really, really exciting. And I'm just glad that it's leading on to more things and TV pilot. That's very exciting. Hopefully that'll be a longevity of great work from you on that project. I know obviously you're very early in your career as such, but I just, again, I think you've got such a wonderful voice as a filmmaker. Is there any advice that you could kind of share for maybe anyone that's trying to kind of follow in your footsteps, or anything you've heard thus far in your career that you could share with our filmmaking audience?
Yeah, I would just say that your story matters. No matter how many times it's been told, your individual story, make it as specific and nuanced as possible, because you are bringing that experience onto the screen in a way that nobody else can. And I think, tell stories that only you can tell. And if that story scares you, that means you definitely have to make it. It means the world needs to know your story. Whenever you're ready to tell that story, because the world is waiting for it.
My goodness, what an inspiration. Thank you so much. I love it. Kevin, honestly, it's a blessing to have your film with us at NewFilmmakers LA. We're wishing you great successes, and please stay connected with us. And thank you for being part of our filmmaking family. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be a part of it.